Hey everyone, and welcome to a very, very special Black Country Derby show. And I'm very happy to be joined by Chris Hall, who runs the popular Albion Analysis podcast. Thanks ever so much for joining me today, Chris.
No problem at all, mate.
And looking forward to the weekend, no doubt.
Does anybody look forward to a derby? I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when it is, whether it's Wolves or Villa. You don't necessarily look forward to these games. You enjoy them if you win. You hate them if you lose,
Absolutely.
and you're nervous in the build up. And I tell you what, right? I know there's been a lot of banter flying about on social media about. Your fans saying it's our cup final, our fans saying it means a lot more to your fans because, you haven't won here in so long and all this sort of thing. The reality is, if any Albion or Wolves fan says that they're not even a little bit nervous and feeling a bit of trepidation ahead of Sunday's game, they're absolutely lying through their teeth. Because the bottom line is, for every single one of us, if our team wins, we'll be absolutely jubilant. And if our team loses, we'll be absolutely gutted. And anybody who says they don't care either is lying or, frankly, doesn't deserve the title of fan if you don't care about winning or losing a Black Country derby.
Absolutely. Well, I can tell you from I think we very much care, but you're absolutely right. There's a big apprehension in the build up to the tie, and we're going to get stuck into that in a little bit. But first of all, obviously you guys, in the Championship at the moment, but you're having not a bad season from what I can see. Your home record's pretty good. I think you're around about 5th at the moment. How would you describe your season so far?
I mean, to be honest, our home record's more than good. Our home record's unbelievable. I think since Corberán came in, I don't think there's a team in the country that's taken more points at home than we have. So it's our away record that holds us back a little bit. Our away record is deeply average at best. I think we've got like the 16th best away record in the division. We've got the 5th best home record, but you've got to remember the top 4 are just absolutely romping the Championship. Like Leeds, Southampton, Ipswich and Leicester are just miles clear of everybody else. So you kind of almost have to take them out of it. It's a bit like in the Premier League that if you had a record that was just behind Manchester City, Liverpool, Tottenham and Arsenal, then you'd probably take that. You wouldn't worry about being 5th. You know what I mean? You'd just say, well, they're pretty unattainable, so I'm happy with that. We're having a decent season. Yeah, in fact, we're having a very good season for what was expected. We've got financial problems that are well documented. We're hoping that a takeover is announced soon. And with everything, all the mess going on behind the scenes, we've had to take out multiple loans to keep the club going. And Corberán has just managed to steady the ship, keep us going, keep us ticking over, keep us winning games, and keep us in the playoff hunt. And I think to be honest, if you'd said to any Albion fan before the season started that we'd be coming towards the end of January, absolutely entrenched in the playoff places, They'd take that. They'd take that all day long. So I'd say we're above expectations.
Absolutely. And why do you think it is that you've got such a really good home record? I think you you absolutely spanked Blackburn. I think it was 4-1 in your last home game. And then obviously the last away game, I think you lost to Norwich 2-0. Why do you think that is at home? You've got such a great record, and away from home you struggle more. What is it down just to the atmosphere of the fans, or is it something a little bit deeper?
I actually wrote quite a lengthy article on this for our Substack only the other day. We seem to start a lot quicker at home than we do away. The most likely time for us to score at home is between the 1st and the 15th minute, whereas at home whereas away the most likely time for us to score is between the 46th and the 60th minute. So you can see that that score the first goal. So you can see that we're scoring the first goal way earlier at home. And the thing about us is the first goal is absolutely massive. When we've scored the first goal 15 times this season, we've won 13 of those games, drawn 1 and lost 1. When we've conceded the first goal, we've only taken 2 points from losing positions all season. So the difference is enormous. And we just don't score the first goal often enough away from home. 7 of the 14 games away from home, we haven't scored the first goal, whereas that's only happened to us 3 times at home. So I think it's all about starting quickly. It's all about getting that first goal, and as with any Albion game, I know I do a lot of these going on opposition podcasts and sort of getting asked about the Albion, and quite often they sort of ask me for a score prediction or a prediction of the game at the end, and my answer's always the same. Whoever gets the first goal in an Albion game will probably go on to win it. And that'll be this. I genuinely think, even with you being Premier League quality, that's the same on Sunday. If we get the first goal, we are a nightmare to break down. If you get the first goal, you'll probably go on and win the game reasonably comfortably because we're not very good at chasing football matches, and that's pretty much where we're at.
And what sort of formation and style of play would you say that Albion have adopted this year? What sort of formation do you expect, and who are the danger men for Wolves to really look out for?
The formation probably will be a back four, and then probably have 2 sitting in midfield, which assuming Yokoslu is fit, will be Yokoslu and Mowat. Normally Swift ahead of them, 2 wide men flanking 1 forward, which, given that Daryl DK is so soon back from injury, will almost certainly be Brandon Thomas Asante. He might switch to a back 5. He has occasionally done that this season, but not for quite a few weeks, to be honest. And I'd be a little bit surprised if we completely change the formation all of a sudden for Wolves. In terms of our danger men, they're probably who you'd expect them to be: John Swift, Jed Wallace. Brandon Thomas Asante has got a good goal scoring record this season. He's come in for a bit of flack from the fans, but because he does miss some big chances. But you know, when he has good days like he did against Blackburn, he's unbelievable. And Daryl DK coming off the bench is a threat. I mean, in terms of how we play, we will want to play on transition. We will want to defend well. Defend our box well, and hope that we've got enough pace and quality when we turn the ball over to hurt you, which it will be an interesting one to see how that works, because I know Wolves are generally a team that actually like to hit teams on the break as well, much like I saw a bit of your game against Brighton, which is exactly what you were doing against them on Monday night. But also, as a Premier League team, there's probably an emphasis on you to come to the Hawthorns and have a go in a way that you might not do so if you're away from home against a Premier League team.
Yeah, I mean, that's quite an interesting one, actually. I mean, Wolves last season struggled for goals. This season, we're scoring a lot more, and we score in most games. You know, the Brighton game that you watched, obviously, we were quite happy with the point in the end. We could have nicked it, but Brighton are very, very good football inside. They're a bit of a bogey team for us as well. I don't know whether it's because they've got Albion at the end of the name and they're playing blue and white stripes. I'm not so sure, but you know, we probably had the better of the chances, even though they might have had more of the possession. In other games, we've been a little bit more on the front foot. Where Wolves have struggled at times is sometimes teams that do sit, and we have to break them down. When teams open up against us, we do tend to be able to break and actually get through the spaces, and we've been converting quite a few of the chances. I mean, what do you know about the Wolves team, and is there anyone out on the Wolves side that you're particularly worried about? Obviously, we've got the likes of Wang who's scored plenty of goals this season. He's away in the Asia Cup. Aït-Nouri his Algeria got knocked out.
I was going to say he's back, isn't he? Because he'll fly back today. So yeah, I mean, look, it's pretty obvious. I wouldn't have been crying any tears if Pedro Neto had spent 2 more weeks on the touchline. Let me put it that way. I mean, you know, he's a really good player. I'm just kind of hoping that playing 89 minutes or whatever it was on Monday night means he's feeling a little bit of tightness and maybe has to sit this one out. That's probably a forlorn hope, but I think Pedro Neto's the man, isn't he? I mean, he's your real danger man. He's the one who can conjure something out of nothing. It's always, you always look for the players that can go past someone as well, and he's definitely got that about him. Sarabia on the other side is a decent player, and I think he's different to Neto from what I've seen. He seems to be a bit more technical. He's not quite as dynamic as front foot. To be honest, the one out of everybody that I'm probably the most worried about is Mario Lemina, because I think if he runs the midfield, it could be a really difficult game. I think. I mean, okay, Koslu was nowhere near fit against Norwich at the weekend, which he had a back spasm in the warm-up, and he cost us the first goal, and he was miles off it. And it was probably down to the fact that he wasn't fully fit and wasn't ready for the game as a result. I really hope he is 100%, because we desperately need him to win that midfield battle against Mario Lemina. For me, that's the key to this whole match, is who wins that battle in midfield, Yokoslu or Lemina, because they're two really top defensive midfielders, and I think whoever can win that battle, get the foot on the ball, and start giving it to the more offensive players, I think it could decide the game. So whilst you've got the obvious candidates of the front three of Sarabia, Cunha, and Neto, the one that I'm really worried about is Lemina, because I think he could dictate the game if he wins that midfield battle.
Absolutely, and he is a really great player, and the Wolves fans have taken to him very much so. Tommy Doyle's been playing alongside him recently, with Joe Gomez being suspended. He's been doing really well as well. He's always looking for a forward pass, and he just rarely loses the ball. So it'll probably be those two in the middle of the park. Obviously, when you drew the Wolves, what was the reaction of the Baggies fans when it came out the hat? I know we played in the Premier League, but there was no fans. We haven't played each other for 12 years with fans and having a Black Country derby. What's the what are the West Brom fans feeling ahead of this one? A combination of excitement and anticipation. Are you confident?
Yeah, so I imagine you won't be doing the live watch along video stream this time. Then
I know I'm going to be there, mate. Looking forward to being there. I'm going with my wife. We go to most of the games home and away, and very much looking forward to it. In fact, the other half of our family, as I think I mentioned to you, Ian and Megan and Harry, my wife's sister, they're all all married into their Albion season ticket holders, so they're going to be in the other end. So it's quite interesting as well from that sort of point of view. But yeah, looking forward to the game, mate. But
I think it was received. I think it was received very split down the middle. I think there was, because obviously when it came out the hat, you still had to beat Brentford in the replay, and I think there was probably 50% of Albion fans who said, "Come on, Brentford." Because the problem is, if we get Wolves, we've got to turn out a full strength side, and the reality is, as much as, and this isn't me trying to play it down, because I desperately want us to win on Sunday, but the fact of the matter is, bigger picture wise, promotion is far more important than a fourth round tie against Wolves, because we ain't going to win the FA Cup. There's no chance. We're no Championship side has no second tier side has ever won it in the Premier League era. So we ain't going to win the FA Cup. So if it weren't Wolves, would we necessarily care about going out in the fourth round? Probably. If Brentford had won that replay, would we have cared less if we got beaten by Brentford? Not massively. I mean, we obviously we want our team to win any game of football, but are we going to lose sleep over our players having to play an extra game and then maybe another game after that, when we've got like a massive run in to try and make the playoffs, and when it was injuries that completely scuppered our playoff campaign last season? No, but when Wolves came out the hat, it's like, that means we've got to turn out a full strength side and really go for it and try and win the game. And if we do manage to win it, we'll all celebrate. But then we've got to go again in the fifth round when and delay another Championship fixture, which moves to a midweek, which is another 2 games in a week. So I think it was a little bit of a nightmare fixture. But then at the same time, there was the other half of the Albion fans who were just like, bring on the Wolves. Like, it's a black country derby. Forget it. This is why we're football fans for. This is what we live for. These the big games, the derby games, the rivalries, the atmosphere. And I see both sides of it. Personally, being a little bit of the pragmatist, I'm probably on the side of the fence of I just think promotion is so massive for us this season, and
Is that because of the financial situation that
yeah,
you're in? You think
yeah,
that'll get you out of a mess? Is
yeah,
that
hugely. It would bail us out massively. I mean, as long as the owner sells, of course, because I mean, if he stays in charge, we're in trouble no matter what, because he's just a nightmare. But if he sells and we get promotion, we suddenly move into such a strong position. We'd hopefully be able to pay off the loans that we owe. We'd come straight back down. I'm pretty sure of that, because I don't think we'd have the money to really give it a go. But yeah, if it hadn't genuinely, if it had been Brentford, I'd have said fine. Whatever happens against Brentford happens. Let's try and focus on getting a Black Country derby against Wolves next season instead of this. But it is you, and we need to look. We've got to give it our best possible shot, because the Albion fans won't accept anything less. We have got this record against you. It is 1996 since you last won at the
and you've
Hawthorns.
got a really good record in the cup, because you've actually won 8 out of the 9 previous ties in the cup. You actually, strangely enough,
Yeah,
and
and this
it
is
is
it.
96 since that you and Robert's hat trick that we've actually beat. So it's a very, very, very long time. And of course, obviously, you guys do love saying 5-1, no matter what division we're in. That's what we always get off the Albion fans. So, like, from the Wolves' perspective, we've got all of that, and it's about time it's about time we beat you at the Hawthorns. It's a long time coming. So the Wolves fans will have been there in numbers. Obviously, we got 4,000. We would have sold more, but I think the police have restricted it for a little bit, so the fans are not too close together. I'm expecting that it's going to be raucous, loud, intimidating place to go at the weekend. The Black Country Derby is probably one that a lot of the fans, a lot of people around the country don't really understand the
Well,
history. I mean,
ITV didn't even spot it when it came out the drawer. I couldn't believe it. I mean,
I
they
know,
didn't even mention it. I mean, how pathetic was that?
I
I
know.
mean, they just sort of went Albion play the Wolves or Brentford and then moved on. There was no mention of, oh, that could be a really big game. As you say, I think it goes over a lot of people's heads. What a massive game it is. It really is. It's a huge game, and look, our fan base is a little bit split as to who their bigger rivalry is, Wolves or Villa. I think it's a lot to do with when you grew up.
Yeah,
I mean, for me, because being 41, I grew up for a lot of years with us not playing the Villa. Like all our games in the sort of like late 80s through the 90s, and until we finally got promoted under Gary Megson, all our derbies were the Wolves. So for me, it's the bigger derby. My dad would probably say the opposite, because obviously he grew up in an era when we were playing the Villa a lot, and you guys were tumbling through the division, so we didn't play you as much. But yeah, for me, it's the number one derby, and I think for most Albion fans my age, it's the number one derby.
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, like, we've had a little bit of go with Villa recently, because we haven't had any proper derbies like against the baggage. We had the little bit of the when Villa were in the Championship and they were going for promotion, and the Mind the Gap derby and all of that. And then obviously we've been in the Premier League, and to be fair, the Villa are going really, really well. And Villa fans should probably turn around and say that it's really Birmingham that's their main
Oh
derby.
yeah,
They
yeah,
would say,
definitely.
whereas most Wolves fans are definitely going to say, obviously, the Baggies. And as I say, it's when you've been starved of a proper derby for so long, and I say, like, I refer back, yeah, we played each other in the COVID season, but that wasn't a proper derby, because
No, it's
it's
12
the
years since we
fans,
played each other in front of fans. I mean,
it's the fans that make it.
yeah, it was. I mean, the last one in front of fans. I know you probably don't want to mention it, but it was the 5-1.
I
So
know, mate.
and
It's
But it's a long time. It is a long time, because you're right. I mean, look, we had those two games against you in the COVID season. Look, obviously, I remember the 3-2 at the Molineux. But genuinely, if you asked me to talk about the game at the Hawthorns, I really couldn't. It was because I wasn't there.
Don't you feel
It
that
just wasn't
COVID
that
season? It was
memorable.
like every game was like, it was almost like it was virtual reality type of thing. It was like watching snooker at the in the end, because it was just without. I mean, they put the artificial sound on it. It just is not the same without the fans being there. It's ultimately the fans that make the club and will make the atmosphere. And it's going to be expecting it to be an intimidating atmosphere. The Wolves fans will, we're going to be loud. We're going to be singing. And the bragging rights of the Black Country is up there for both teams to get. I mean, Wolves go in, obviously, we've roles reversed from a few years ago where you were in the Premier League and we were in the Championship, and it's kind of reversed round. Wolves are the Premier League team. So when you look at it on paper, you go, well, Wolves are the Premier League team, but it's a derby. Albion, as you say, are very, very good at home this season, and there's a lot more at stake. The levels raised, the fans, when the players walk out on that pitch at the Hawthorns at quarter to 12, to 12. I mean, even though it's an early kickoff, they're going to well know about it. And I'm guessing like the Albion players will probably be learning about, who haven't played in it. The Wolves players will be learning about it, haven't played with it. The fans will be talking about it right into the build-up.
I think the big thing for us in terms of that is that we've got Jed Wallace as captain, who knows firsthand. I mean, I don't think he ever played in one, but he was a Wolves player, so he knows exactly what this game is all about. And Corberan is he's the brain, he's the tactician, but Jed Wallace is the heart of our team. You can tell he's the leader in the dressing room. He's the one who gets them all up for it. And I don't think, because I know there's that little clip of Pedro Neto that's gone a little bit viral of where he basically said he doesn't really know what the game's all about. I can assure you there's not going to be a single Albion player in that boat. Like, Jed Wallace is going to leave nobody in any doubt
and do you know what, mate? I can assure you that there won't be any Wolves players in any doubt as well, because we've got Matt Doherty and we've got Craig Dawson. And of course, Craig Dawson has played. I think he's probably played in a Black Country derby, but way back for Albion back in the day against Wolves, because he was with you guys for a very, very long time, wasn't he, Dawson?
I would have thought he must have done, to be honest with you. But to be honest, off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you which one. And look, Dawson's a good player. He's a leader. He's somebody I know because he was at the club when I worked there. He's going to be a big player for you at the weekend. I have to say again, he was on a booking from quite early on against Brighton. I wouldn't have cried if he'd mistimed a second tackle. That's for sure.
Mate, I've got to be telling you, I was stressing about Mateus Cunha losing it at half time. I was going, God, shut up. I don't want to get you suspended as well. And then obviously we had a few more bookings, but we didn't. Hopefully we've not picked up any injuries. Look, I'm really looking forward to the game. I'm going to ask you the question. I know you're probably going to give me the answer that you said earlier. Your gut feeling for the weekend. What's your gut telling you?
No, I've got no time for. I've got no time for me gut this weekend, Dave. Like it's a Black Country derby and heart rules head, and I think my heart kind of wants to say Albion to win it 2-1. I'm going to say let's do this twice. Let's have a 1-1. Let's do it all again at the Molineux.
And of course, one other thing to bear in note as well: there is no VAR.
No, well, thank God for that, eh?
I know we've like so used to having the VAR in the Premier League, and you've probably read all the incidents and probably seen some of the incidents with the VAR with Wolves. So when a goal goes in, if a goal goes in or there's an incident and stuff, there's no reviews, because like sometimes you stand around like waiting to celebrate twice or then get deflated if the goal's given. it's going to be given. So for us, it's going to be quite an interesting experience of playing in a game where there is no VAR at all in this match. If there is a replay and it comes back to Molineux, it will be in, and then you've got the potential of extra time, because obviously replays, I think in the third and fourth round there is, and then from the fifth round there's no replay. I'm guessing you're basically going to say the first 15 minutes is going to be key for the Baggies, because at home.
I think it's massive, because I think if we settle into the game, that midfield battle is going to be key. I think we'll find out very early on who's going to have the upper hand in that. Is it going to be Koslu? Is it going to be Lamina? And as I say, the first goal is absolutely enormous in this game. And I think your fans are going to start the game off like raucous up there. But I mean, there's not a doubt in my mind that if the game goes on and on and on at 0-0, your fans are going to get a little bit edgy. They're going to get a little bit nervous, because our fans, whilst we want to win the game, we're not going into it with the expectation that we should win it, because we aren't the Premier League team. You have got a very expensive squad. You've got Premier League quality, and you're not even close to the relegation battle. So it's not. This isn't like playing, with the due of respect to them, Burnley or Sheffield United. You know what I mean? If we were playing them, you'd say, well, there's literally 6 places in the league between us, and a handful of points. And to be honest, we could swap divisions next season, and it wouldn't be a shock. I think with Wolves, you've got to recognise that there is a bit of a gap there in terms of how much money you've been able to spend. We haven't spent a penny on transfer fees since we paid 300 grand for Brandon Thomas Asante, and I think our fans are desperate to get something out of the game and win it, but I don't think we go into it with the expectation that we should. And your fans definitely go into the expectation that this is the time that we should beat the Albion. This is the time we should win at the Hawthorns. This is our chance to put all of those things to bed. And if you don't, in terms of you don't do it early enough, I do think there will be a little bit of nerves from your fans, which could potentially translate to the players on the pitch. And I think that will be part of Corberan's game plan, will be don't give them anything early on, which is pretty much how we generally set up. But I think there will be an instruction there. Nothing silly, no risky passes, nothing daft, no crazy runs out of position, no leaving your post. And I think there'll be an element of feeling each other out in the early doors, and it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
Absolutely, and I'm very much looking forward to it, mate. And I'm going to be in that 4,000. We'll be singing our hearts out, just the same as you. But like you say, things can get edgy the longer it goes, because the later it goes in the game, and if it's still level, a goal either way could decide it. So you probably got a very, very good point there. I hope it's a fantastic game, played with passion, played with intensity, and both fans are raucous. But at the end of the day, I hope it doesn't bubble over into anything else other than that, because at the end of the day, we want to put on a show and have a great match. And ultimately, obviously, I'm hoping that Wolves do come out on top. And if we can
I second that, by the way, Dave. We can all have a bit of banter about the record and the Black Country Derby and all that sort of thing. But look, you're saying there, you're going with your missus, I'm going with my missus. The rest of your extended family is at the game in the Albion end. And look, we want it to be an amazing afternoon. We want it to be a raucous atmosphere. We want people to sing their hearts out. We want to see passion from the fans. We want to see passion on the pitch from the players. But at the same time, I also want to take my missus to an environment that's safe and that she can enjoy. And
100%. We just don't want anyone to take it too far and people get hurt or anything like that.
Just have a great time. Enjoy the day. Wear your heart on your sleeve 100%. But just there's families, kids there. Just, keep it the right side of the line, and and everyone will enjoy the. Well, not everyone will enjoy the
Won't
day.
enjoy it if you lose, but banter's good. Banter's good. It's all
the
about
winners
having
will
the
enjoy
banter.
the day. Yeah, the winners will
At
enjoy
the
the
end
day.
of the day, we might be, like you say, we might be doing this again. Who knows? But mate, how can people find you on socials if they want to have a listen to your podcast as well?
Absolutely. Just search Albion Analysis wherever you get your podcasts. You'll find us fairly easily. If you want to find us on X, it's at Albion Analysis, and you'll see on there links to our Substack and the content that we're putting out. There'll be a couple. There'll be some Wolves previews on there if you do want to go and have a look. I've had a Wolves fan has sent me their thoughts on their team, which might be an interesting look for Wolves fans to see if you agree with one of your own about where they think your strengths and weaknesses are ahead of the Sunday's game.
Absolutely, mate. And thank you ever so much for taking time out your day to come on, mate. And I do wish you all the best. But obviously, I can't say.
No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't wish.
I
us
wish you all the best, but not you.
Me. Yeah, I was going to say, because look, I'd say it, but I wouldn't mean it. I wish you personally all the best, but I can't possibly do that for your team. I'm sorry,
no, absolutely,
and I wouldn't expect it reciprocated either.
It's that's where it's at, isn't it? But we're talking about the game, we'll obviously, go from there. And I much appreciate you taking time to come on, mate. And I'm hoping that the Black Country is ours by the end of the day on Sunday.
Yeah, you're hoping you can take your Black Country trophy back to Staffordshire, are you?
I love it, mate. This is what it's all about, banter. Let's have a great game, mate. And I'll see you soon.
See you later, mate.